Glenn Matthews, CEO, Australian Racing Drivers Club, operators of Sydney Motorsport Park Bass at Eastern Creek. Welcome to Digital Dialogue, mate. How are you?
I'm really well, Adam. Thanks for having me today. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's been a long time coming, this chat, mate. You guys have been doing a ton of work out there, and we're, I suppose I should say up front, fortunate to have had a great working relationship with you guys over a number of years now, on that journey that you guys have taken motor racing and precinct development in Eastern Creek. Now, you've had some few wins of late, and probably more coming, hopefully, but talk us through the journey that you've gone on with the Racing Drivers Club and the Motorsport Park based at Eastern Creek, not just from a racing perspective, but also from a skills, a knowledge hub, and your general vision for what you see happening out there over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Look, it's been an amazing journey, and really everyone's talking about the lights, and that's probably the most topical thing at the moment. And it's interesting because I think the lights are almost a symbol of where we're at the moment. And for me, the lighting project is really making the invisible visible. And what I mean by that is the lighting project was really part of a master plan that the ARDC formed, back in 2008, and then we refined it in 2011. And I'll talk about some of the projects we're working on currently, but by the time they're finished next year, it means that in the past decade, we will have invested $52 million into Sydney Motorsport Park, of which the ARDC, a little non-for-profit organisation that's been around for 70 years, has contributed 35% or $18 million in that process. Now, if we just
certainly the little engine that could.
Exactly. Now, if you just go back a little more than a decade, Adam, remember Eastern Creek International Raceway, as it was known then, was perceived as a white elephant. So much so that the government of the day spent over $30 million to create a temporary street circuit at Sydney Olympic Park for supercars to race on. So if you think about where we were a little over a decade then, and we fast forward to now, we've got a world-class motorsport precinct, the Silverstone of the Southern Hemisphere, as stated by Minister Ayres. And I'm really proud in terms of the leadership that the ARDC has shown and demonstrated in that time, and what we've contributed and worked with government to turn a white elephant into basically, a world-leading motorsport precinct.
So, I mean, you mentioned the lights. It was a ongoing project and challenge for you guys for a number of years. You finally got there. For those uninitiated, tell us about the lights and why they're so important to the future success of the precinct.
Yeah. Look, I guess the lighting project started more than 5 years ago, probably 6 years ago when we put it to government, because what we've found is that we are actually probably one of the busiest motorsport parks in the world. I mean, we have an occupancy rate of over 90%, and we're blessed being in Australia that, unlike the Northern Hemisphere, we can operate through our colder periods. So we're absolutely pretty much choked to capacity. Now, back in 2012, we extended the track, which gave us more capacity because we could split the track into a number of configurations and have, dual occupancy. Well, that then again filled up. So this time it was about, well, what do? We need to extend our day. It's like adding hotel rooms. So we extend the day by putting on lights. So about 6 years ago, we approached government and we did our due diligence and business case. And, it's great that it's actually been delayed by that period of time, because in that period of time, technology has improved so much. So to give you an idea, 6 years ago, for $17 million, we could have done the short circuit. We could have done what we call our northern circuit, which is 2.9 kilometres long. 5 years down the track, for $16 million, in fact, less than that, we've delivered the entire circuit, plus been able to put in a fibre optic network, plus cameras, safety cameras, but also now cameras at broadcast quality. We'll be able to start our own streaming. And plus, because of the introduction of LED lighting, it's such more in terms of sustainability, it's a third of the running cost of what it would have been 5 years ago. So, the journey's been great. but it was great that it was also delayed. Now, so the delivery of that over the past year has been great for us. We've certainly come in within time, under budget, and very pleased with it. The trading effect has been extraordinary, and it's early days. We're only into May, but to say that we're probably doubling our early expectations is pretty close to the mark. So from a financial perspective, and we're seeing the benefits of the night economy straight away. We're seeing the benefits of being able to, give people more hours and increase employment. But we're also seeing the benefits of much increased community engagement. One example just of that alone is cycling. So on Monday nights we have cycling here, and cycling could never take place here in winter before. Now we've got cyclists pretty much most Monday nights, and their numbers have grown by probably 30%. We're getting 120, 130 cyclists race on a Monday night. That's something that just wasn't possible before, and that community engagement's really important to us.
Yeah, I mean the lights have opened up a whole new world for you. Essentially, you've got a 24/7 track now for all sorts of users, like you've described. But the vision goes beyond just racing, and I know that it sounds a bit strange because I mean obviously motor racing and cars in general are a big part of the Western Sydney DNA. But your vision and what you want to see happen goes beyond just racing. You want to have a precinct there which supports skills development, education, a home for future engineers, a whole sort of ecosystem based around motor mechanics and engines and motor racing. Talk us through how you see the area and ARDC and the motorsport playing in terms of having a bigger role that goes beyond just racing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And as part of that master plan and our strategic plan, some years ago, we took a trip across to Silverstone in the UK. We looked at Silverstone themselves, and we also went to Oxford Brookes University. And, we were blown away by what they could do. And they have a college on the main straight of Silverstone, the UTS, they call it. And I think when we visited them, and I think it was maybe 4 years ago, their success, they had, I think, 300 odd students per year. They'd been in business about 5 years. They told us then that their success rate of those students getting into further educational jobs was at about 100%. So, and what it was the honeybee effect of, that attraction of being part of a vibrant place like Silverstone, a motorsport park. So we looked at that and thought, it's like a higher purpose for the ARDC, and how do we contribute more to, I guess the growth of our society and our local community. And so we looked at what they did and brought that back and thought, well, how can we apply that in Australia? How can we create the Silverstone and be the Silverstone of the Southern Hemisphere? And so with that, we then sat down and looked at, our vision of that and creating, what we're now branding the Australian Motorsport Innovation Precinct. Now with that, we were lucky enough, we've received a government grant of $6.4 million for our building, our first building in that precinct, and on top of that, the ARDC, we're going to borrow and invest a further $3 million. So we're at design stage. We've ticked off on a couple of designs. We've had a couple of pre-DA meetings with our Blacktown Council, and we expect to start doing some earthworks within the next couple of months. We see that it'll be up and running in 2022. We already have now heads of agreement, some MOUs with some universities and some, an organisation called Hydrogen House, where we already have on site. And I guess this is the other thing for us. The whole precinct should be considered an innovation precinct, not just building. And it's about, again, the honeypot effect. It's about building these clusters. We already have on site an organisation called MotoDNA, and they're an Australian company who partnered with Yamaha Global and Bosch. And they've designed the first, if you want to call it like the black box for motorbikes. and now they've got an app with it, and so it rates you and uses, you know, all the algorithms and forces on brakes and your angles of your leaning when you ride, so it rates your ability on that. And this technology for safety and is just mind-blowing.
Yeah,
great.
I mean, at the core of a lot of your success has been those sort of partnerships. I mean, you're talking about government, you talk private sector, some of the you know, the Yamaha and all those high tech guys that have, you know, recognised the opportunities there. Has the speed and trajectory that you guys have created in terms of the partnerships and the work and, you know, the concepts around innovation and skills development and all of the contributions and discussions that you've had with public and private sector, has it taken you by surprise how quickly things have moved in the last 5 years?
Look, it has and it hasn't. You know, one of the first things that I saw prior to being here, I was with a bigger organisation, and I come here and I was so excited by the ARDC and what they do. I mean, it's a privilege to be here, but we're a small organisation, and to achieve big things, you need to have best of breed partners, and you need to collaborate with organisations that are great at what they do. And even in little example, it's not a little example, but even the way we deliver food, you know, our partner in delivering food is Venues Live. You know, they do ANZ Stadium, Bankwest Stadium, Optus Stadium in Perth. So you go and partner with somebody that's just damn good at what they do, and that way we can concentrate on what we're good at. So that's been, I guess, our business model, you know, for a decade now, is partnering with people, even people that deliver, you know, products for us on the track. You know, they're best of breed at what they do, and that's how we like to partner. You know, partnering with even supercars, for example, and trying to make sure that we deliver, you know, a great experience for fans. And, you know, an example of that, Adam, was, you know, we hired temporary lights in 2018 to prove a point that night racing and creating a night economy here would work. Just like cricket, we called it the 2020 of motor racing. You know, and so, you know, that's what I'm excited about. And I've got to say, we are now surprised. We're being inundated with people that want to collaborate with us and be part of it. And we do see ourselves, like the lights are an enabler. You know, we see the ARDC are an enabler, you know, of gathering people, of using the advantage of an exciting precinct like a motorsport park to, you know, get people interested and, you know, get people motivated.
Glenn, I mean, without sounding too dramatic, I see you guys as revolutionaries in a way. I think you on the way to revolutionising the way we consume and present, you know, motor racing. I think the precinct there, in terms of what it can offer for emerging, you know, young talented mechanics and those with an interest in engineering, is going to be, you know, first class. And I think a lot of it's down to the vision and the work that yourself and the team, and I know John and Pete personally, and there's probably others there behind the scenes that are committed to making this place a success. So well done on all of that, mate.
Oh, thank you so much. Look, and I think also, I mean, the work we do is great, but we're only allowed to do that because that's what the board, you know, really see where the organisation want to be. And so it's great to have a board that are innovative and, you know, looking forward all the time and making sure. I mean, we're an old organisation. We're 70 years young next year, but you have to keep reinventing yourself. You've got to remain relevant. You know, and you've got to remain relevant. And I think about motorsport and we think about sustainability, and they seem to be, you know, I guess a bit like an oxymoron, but they're not, you know. And so we'll innovate and we'll make sure that we're sustainable and, you know, and just keep progressing forward.
Right. You've had a lot of success, and I'm sure there's a lot to come. I was going to call you guys one of, you know, the region's hidden gems, but I don't think you're hidden. You're certainly very visible, and the crowds you get out there daily, testament to that, mate. So well done on all the success. Thank you for joining us on Digital Dialogue. Hopefully we'll have you back to keep us updated with how things progress. I'm sure we'll be hearing a lot more over the coming years, mate.
Thanks so much, Adam. Pleasure.